Language is very important. Ano? As you see, this is the tool that we use to communicate. And to highlight the importance, no? As you can see on the screen, the classic statistics that you see in the big data industry is that 80% of business relevant information is in the unstructured form, primarily text. No, so we have two types of data. We have the structured data, usually in databases, yung mga rows and columns or records. Those are structured data, and unstructured data. When you say unstructured data, they are text, videos, o images. Pero sabi dito na 80% of the business relevant information is in unstructured form. So most of that is in the form of text. So it's pretty clear na very important ang the validity of this is not clear, of this statistic is not clear. I'm not sure if Merrill Lynch invented this or IBM study in the 1990s, but in this day and age, not 21st or 2020, 2023, I mean, I'm sure you would agree, no, that somebody is trying to get in. I'm not sure if, okay, anyway, yeah. Going back, I'm sure that you would agree that a lot of businesses mainly runs on emails, reports, proposals, contracts, text, and increasingly on making use of social media. So there's a lot of unstructured text that we have to mind, and those things are primarily human language material. Now, without having said, I'd like to discuss with you or show to you yung outline that we have prepared. No? Yeah. So this is going to be a series of lecture depending on our availability. No? Pero most of this, I'll be giving the lecture. Some of this will be given by Moses and one will be given by Ao later on. But thank you, Talim, for preparing the slides, no? Which I just reviewed now. So bahala na lang mamaya kung paano ko siya i-explain. So for day one, this is just basically an overview, parang ano lang yan, just to pique your interest of what natural language processing is all about. But the meaty part are in the succeeding days. Parang itong day one, this is just an introduction. So I hope you will also tune in on the succeeding days, no? Like in day two, this is one of topics that I'd like to discuss. Word embeddings. This is very important, especially yung word to vec. So basically, it will I will do a lecture on how words are being represented yung in the modern way, no? Kasi I think 2013 or 2014 ang word to vec, and that's very revolutionary. Kasi before word to vec, there's iba yung way ng pag-represent ng words. So that's very important. And then from word to vec, nagkaroon na ng ibang vector space and models, no? Like GloVe, FastText, and Elmo. So those are what we call word embeddings. And day three, which would probably be given to you next week or yeah, probably next week, no? It's also, if not the most important part here in day three, yung language modeling, especially with the advent of ChatGPT, which is a large language model. So very important tong day three kasi dito i-discuss yung language modeling o introduction to language modeling. Ano ba yung dating language modeling na ginagamit before neural networks or before deep learning? So we call that statistical language model, and N-grams is one of them. And then yun nga, nauso na yung deep learning. So that's why na-apply din siya sa natural language processing. So because of yung mga works ni, excuse me, ni Joshua Bengio, and nagkaroon ng neural language models. And then, ayan, yung one very relevant paper is yung ULM FIT o yung Universal Language Model and Fine-Tuning. So dito na uso naman yung process ng fine-tuning. So this is very crucial. I cannot overemphasize the significance of this lecture, no, because in natural language processing. And in day 4, ito pa, dito pala sa day 3, since sa 3.3, i-discuss din dito yung neural network, no? Pero mas marami mga variants ng neural network that lend itself well in natural language processing. Yeah, like recurrent neural networks, no? Yung RNN. So very kung baga sa computer vision, very popular yung use ng convolutional neural network, no? That's a variant of an artificial neural network kasi maraming architecture ang artificial neural network. But sa area naman ng NLP or natural language processing, yung variant ng neural network na very popular in previous years ay itong tinatawag na RNN o yung recurrent neural network. Kasi primarily, yung recurrent neural network, ginagamit siya sa mga sequence models like text, di ba? Kasi ang text is in sequence. Pero hindi lang sa text ginagamit ang RNN, it can also be used or other sequence models like time series data, no? Pero yon, before 2017, ang malimit na makikita niyo sa mga research papers talaga, mga recurrent neural network, and then there are more sophisticated variants of recurrent neural networks na meron ng gating mechanism, no? They have this mechanism that would allow them to control the flow of information. Pwede nilang iharangin yung information o pwede nilang i-pass through information. So meron tayong gated recurrent units and more sophisticated than that at saka isang very popular algorithm then or very popular architecture ng RNN is called the long short-term memory or LSTM. And then meron ng mga different variations nun to actually that are actually being used in natural language processing tasks. And later on, I'll be showing you what are those tasks. Day 5, yeah, but probably next week na rin to, wala pang date, no? Pero this is also an important concept in NLP. We call this sequence-to-sequence model or seek-to-seek, no? This is also a famous paper. Dito na-introduce yung encoder-decoder architectures. So this is parang a new paradigm in natural language processing wherein you have the information being encoded in a latent space, in a lower dimensional latent space. If you're familiar with autoencoder, it's kind of like that autoencoder, and then it's going to be decoded by another neural network architecture, which we call the decoder, to actually come up with another sequence. Kaya siya tinawag na sequence to sequence kasi usually you have a sequence of text and then yung output mo is another sequence of text. So tingnan natin, may sequence ka and output sequence. So ano kaya yung usual na application kung saan ginagamit to? Machine translation, no? Like yung Google Translate natin, if you have a sequence of text in Tagalog, and then your output would be a sequence of text in English. It doesn't necessarily mean that the length of the sequence of your input is the same as the length of the sequence of your output. Basta sequence to sequence siya. So doon naman natin i-discuss yan sa day 5. And then, day 6, ito, kung ang pinaka-importante ditong topic would be day 3, day 6, and day 7. Kasi itong day 6, dito naman i-discuss yung attention mechanisms. No? This is a famous paper by Bashwani in 2017 that changed the game in deep learning. So lahat ng mga modern AI ngayon, it really ang pinaka work engine niya is on the attention mechanisms, no? So very powerful ito. It came from a lot of researchers from Google, no? Pero kita niyo naman the technology came from Google, pero OpenAI yung nag-rip ng mga ng mga benefits nowadays, no? Kasi a lot of modern AI technology is dependent on this attention mechanism. So dito i-discuss no sa day 6. So nag-start actually siya sa natural language processing, and then ina-apply na rin siya ngayon sa computer vision. So you have your vision transformers and other even sa audio or signal processing. And then medyo mahaba kasi itong attention mechanism, so it will take about 2 days. So sa day 7 yung transformers and self-attention. So continuation lang to ng day 6, and dito na i-discuss yung two famous language model or algorithm na ginagamitan ng transformer, yung GPT or yung Generative Pre-trained Transformer, at saka BERT. GPT is an autoregressive decoder and BERT is a bidirectional encoder. So magkaiba sila ng mechanism. Makikita nyo sa day 5, di ba, meron tayong encoder-decoder architecture. Kaya lang dito kasi sa day 5, RNNs pa itong ginagamit dito. Pero pagdating dito, encoder-decoder architecture pa rin, pero ibang klaseng neural network na, and we call that transformers. So meron kang encoder at saka meron kang decoder. So kung titingnan itong, dito sa day 6 yun, i-discuss yung architecture ng attention, no? I mean, yung transformer pala na gumagamit ng attention mechanism. Kasi yung title ng paper na yun, attention is all you need. Kaya ganun yung title niya kasi ang premise nun is sinasabi niya na hindi mo na kailangan ng RNN, hindi mo na kailangan ng CNN, you just need attention, no? For that to actually make your sequence-to-sequence architecture work. And then yung day 8 will just be from advanced topic siguro ng and transfer learning will be discussed and fine-tuning. So that will be the, I think, outline ng lecture series. But for today, overview lang siguro ng natural language processing. Before I continue, any question? By the way, I'll give siguro later from pag nakukulangan ako sa explanation ko, I'll ask some help from my colleagues, kila Ao, kila Moses, kila Dalin. Okay, for today's series, ito yung outline, no? So, sabi ko, overview lang ng NLP tasks, tapos yung NLP pipelines, ano yung mga pre-processing techniques, like I'll zero in on tokenization, stemming, lemmatization. Those are some of the steps that you need for to get through some specific downstream tasks in NLP. So marami kasi na downstream task ang NLP. Usually maririnig niyo yung term na yun na downstream task. Ibig sabihin lang nun, meron kang original task na ginagawa, and then it can be repurposed to other tasks. Like usually, ang main na task sa NLP is what we call language modeling. No? Parang gagawa ka lang ng language model. And then from there, originally kasi pagka kapag sinabi natin language model, basically, it's just predicting the next word. If you have a sequence of words, kunyari, meron kang sentence, parang may blank lang doon. If you fill up mo lang kung ano yung most probable word for that. So basically, language modeling is just that thing wherein you have a sequence and then you have a next, may blank ka doon sa sequence, and then it will just give you, the language model will just give you a probability distribution of the most probable of the words that can be inserted into that blank. So basically, that's language modeling. Ngayon, like magically, isipin natin na yung palang ganong task can also be repurposed for other tasks like machine translation, question answering, na nag-start text generation. Text generation medyo madali lang kasi pag tinuloy-tuloy mo yon, it can generate you text, di ba? And then question answering, paano kaya from there, paano nagiging downstream task yung question answering? I'll explain that later. So, yun, as you can see na yung natural language processing is very parang pervasive nowadays. Actually dito sa US, usong-uso yung mga Alexa. Halos lahat ng bahay na may mga Alexa na na device, no, yung home device na sinasabi, tatanungin mo lang siya, Alexa, what's the weather for today? Alexa, give me a joke. Or even there I'm sure you have been using Siri or Cortana, no? So, yun, maraming mga parang mga assistants. And isipin mo, parang paano yung mga computer system, paano sila nakakaintindi ng human language? Okay, yeah. So much for that introduction. Let's first define what NLP is, no? So, siguro maisip ko yung NLP, parang it's a marriage between computer science and linguistics, no? Basically, pag sinabi natin natural language processing, this is a branch of artificial intelligence, no? Kasi ang artificial intelligence, usually it's a development of systems wherein you teach that computer system or that machine to behave or actually act like or think, or yung mga behavior that cognitive behavior that we usually attribute to humans, like for example thinking, reasoning, seeing, and understanding language, no? Those are that falls under artificial intelligence. Now yung subfield nun, yung understanding and making sense of human language, that's actually natural language processing. And usually may encounter din kayong term na natural language understanding, yung NLU and NLG. So yung pag nakita niyo yung term na NLU sa NLG, that falls under NLP. So mas malaking branch yung NLP o natural language processing. And under that is yung NLU o yung natural language understanding at saka natural language generation. So yung natural language understanding focuses on parang machine reading comprehension. So basically, parang ganito siya. Siguro magandang analogy to distinguish NLG and NLU is that from kung NLU or yung natural language understanding, given a kunyari a text in human yung corpus na parang a series of texts na usually like conversation or a paragraph, no? The sa NLU, ang gagawin nun, it is trying to convert that into something that the computer can understand. Okay? Yung sa NLG naman baliktad, parang using a computer, it will try to generate language that the human can understand. So parang sila, parang complementary o parang magkaiba silang direction from yung NLU basically human to computer, and yung NLG naman is from computer to humans. So parang in a way parang ganun yung idea behind the dichotomy between NLG and NLU. Yeah, before we move on, gusto ko lang din i-discuss itong linguistic knowledge. Like, in natural language kasi, parang marami siyang level. Or basically, in linguistics, may mga levels yan. Yung tinatawag na linguistic knowledge. The first, yung pinakamababang level is called phonetics and phonology. This is the knowledge about linguistic sounds. No? Like yung how words are pronounced in terms of the sequence of sounds and how each of these sounds is realized acoustically. So yun yung pinakamababang ano. And then from phonology, meron tayong tinatawag na morphology. Dito naman, ito yung the study of words. No? Morphology ang tawag doon. So, basically, ito yung mga words na basically tinuturuan natin yung computer kung this is a word. Kung for example, yung word na run, no? R-U-N, no? That's one ang tawag doon isang morpheme. Yung RU, hindi siya morpheme sa English kasi wala namang meaning yung RU. So yung run, that's a morpheme. Halimbawa, another example yung word na happy, H-A-P-P-Y. So yon isang morpheme yon, pero yung H-A-P-P, walang meaning yon, so it's not a morpheme. So basically, yung sa morphology, you're teaching the computer kung alin yung mga words, no? Alin doon yung may mga sense, no? Like for example, yung word na CHIL, walang sense yun. Pero yung word na CHILD, yon may sense yun. So that's a morpheme. So that falls under morphology. Ngayon, mas mataas pang level, no, in linguistic knowledge, it's called syntax, no. So kung meron ka na mga words, no, it's not enough. Meron din tayo kasi tinatawag na syntax. Sometimes yung ordering ng words matters, no? And that's what we call syntax. And in syntax, it is a knowledge about the structural relationship between words, no? Bawat kunyari yung let's say dog bites, no? Dog bites. Iba siya sa bites dog, no? Parang hindi syntactically correct yung bites dog, di ba? Parang gano'n. So that falls under syntax. And mas mataas naman sa syntax, kailangan din natin to run computer about semantics. Semantics is just knowledge of meaning. Like for example, may mga words ka nga, tama yung syntax mo, pero iba't iba kasi yung meaning nun. Like for example, yung word na bank, it can mean a riverbank. It can also mean a financial institution, di ba? So yun, doon naman papasok yung semantics. And then may mas mataas pa yung tinatawag na pragmatics. Yung sa pragmatics, ito yung parang higher form ng semantics. Like dito napapasok yung mga idiomatic expression o kaya yung parang may cultural may cultural infusion na doon sa language, no, depende na sa mga nagsasalita. So doon papasok yung pragmatic. To give you a concrete example, let's say can you pass me the salt? Can you pass me the salt? Okay? Pagka semantics lang siya, iisipin mo na parang it's asking a question. Can you pass me a salt? Parang it's asking the ability na kayang ba magpasa ng salt. Pero kung in deeper meaning nun is actually you're requesting someone to pass you the salt. It's not really a question, no? So doon papasok ngayon yung pragmatics. And then may mas mataas pa sa pragmatics yung tinatawag nating discourse. The discourse, it talks about yung mga buong paragraph na, buong sentences, o kaya buong speech. So yan yung discourse. So these are the different levels of, or parang sa linguistic, kung pwede nyo ihugay din, domain of knowledge, and these are very important, no? Mag-start ka, you can work on kahit sa phonetics or phonology. Ito, may halong signal processing dito kasi you're going to work with sound. And then, you can also work with words, and then syntax, semantics. So may level talaga. So may hierarchy siya ng mga elements ng language. Okay? Now, the next thing that I'd like to discuss is yung the different task under NLP, no? Kasi makikita nyo parang isipin natin parang ang hirap turuan. Actually, mahirap talagang turuan ng computer ng language, no? And we humans parang inherently bakit tayo natututo ng language from when we were parang 2 years old, 3 years old pa, parang na sa atin. Pero isipin mo, ang language kasi very very messy siya. Ang daming ambiguity. Pero tayo, nagkakaintindihan tayo kahit maraming ambiguity. Pero isipin niyo paano natin yun ipaprogram para ma-process o magawa siya ng computer, no? And actually may mga different tasks involved, no? And these are some of the NLP tasks, like siguro very common yung text classification. Spam detection is an example of text classification. If you have 2 emails, to classify whether it's a spam or not, or pwede rin yung gender o yung author o yung guessing who is the author of a certain text. That's also a classification, whether it's a male or a female. That falls also under classification. And then we have information extraction. Now dito naman you have mga databases or large documents. Tapos parang you're searching for the right information on a very large set of information or a large set of text, no? That falls under information extraction. Machine translation, basically ito lang yung pag-translate ng one language to another. It can be computer language, it can be Bisaya or to English or Japanese to German. So machine translation. Another thing is yung parts of speech tagging. So sa parts of speech tagging naman sa mga given yung mga sentences, bali i-identify niya kung what parts of speech yung mga word na yon, no? If it's a noun or a pronoun or interjection or adverb, adjective, yon. Those tasks or subtasks are important. Named entity recognition, basically para maintindihan din, sometimes kasi nakakalito yung mga text. Like, kailangan natin i-distinguish whether a certain proper noun is a name of a person or a name of a place. Like, for example, when you say, I went to Gordon Avenue, is the word Gordon there a name of a person or a place? No? So pakikita sa context na yung Gordon doon is actually a place, no? Or even kunyari, let's say Buffalo, New York. Yeah. Yung buffalo ba doon ay buffalo na animal o buffalo na place? So that falls under named entity recognition. And then question answering. Yun. Ginagawa namin sa project namin sa Itanong, yun, question answering yun, o kaya yung ChatGPT, no? It's also question answering. Text summarization, no? If you give the system a large, parang a large document, tapos pwede niyang i-summarize yun. Topic modeling, sa topic modeling naman, kunyari, may mga several documents ka, and it can label them with topics. Kunyari, mga news articles. Ito falls under sports. Ito falls under entertainment. Ito falls under science and technology. Text generation, basically, ito medyo madali lang if you want to generate, like for example, pwede siyang automatically mag-generate siya ng story o mag-create siya ng email. So that falls under text generation. Sentiment analysis. Ito yung unang, isa sa mga unang application ng NLP, sentiment analysis. Like, usually ginagamit to sa mga product reviews or yung movie reviews. Titignan mo yung sentiment ng mga nakapanood ng movie na yan, kung nagandahan sila sa movie based just on the text, kung okay, kung 5-star ba siya, or kung maganda yung product, yung review ng product ngayon. So automatically ginagamit siya. And a lot of these NLP tasks uses machine learning algorithms. Okay, itong co-reference resolution, ano nga ba to? Okay. Halimbawa, meron kang mga marami kang mga pronouns sa ano mo, sa sentence mo. Like one example would be, John told Mike that he failed the exam. John told Mike that he failed the exam. Paano mo papaintindi sa computer na yung he, kanino siya nagre-refer? Kay John o kay Mike? Even humans, mahirap alamin, di ba? Kung ano yung, kanino nagre-refer yung pronoun na he, kay John ba o kay Mike? So that falls under co-reference resolution. And then another one, yung word sense disambiguation. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na may mga words kasi na merong multiple meanings. Ang tawag doon ay polysemy, no? In linguistic, ang tawag doon polysemy, like yung word na bank. Kasi the word bank can mean yung tabi ng river, no? River bank, or it can also mean that the financial institution. So maraming mga words, polysymous words, maraming mga ganon. Ano pa ba yung words na dalawa yung multiple yung meanings. I'm sure you know a lot. Kunyari yung star, the word star, it can mean a movie star. It can also mean the yung nakikita natin sa langit, no? So yun. Semantic parsing, actually, yun din yung ginagawa ni Itanong. Semantic parsing yung tawag ko sa ginagawa namin. Semantic parsing basically is yung human language o yung text na understandable by yung natural language, understandable by human. We parse it in a way so that the computer would be able to understand it. So parang naglalagay ng mga tags, ganon. Or kino-convert siya into a programming language or a language na parang may tinatawag kaming first order lambda calculus, no? Sorry for the technical jargon, pero basically ang ginagawa lang dito ay meron kang natural language and then kino-convert siya into a formal language. Pag sinabi natin formal language, unambiguous siya. Yun yung language na naiintindihan ng computer. So that's what we call semantic parsing. Dependency parsing, ito naman parang, ito yung may makikita kayong mga sentences na may mga arrow-arrow. Kumbaga, inaano niya, parang minomodel niya kung sino doon sa mga bawat words na yon ay dependent kanino. So that's dependency parsing. So important din yun sa ibang application. And then you have also yung chatbots and dialogue system. Marami pang ibang NLP tasks like paraphrase detection. Sometimes they also do sarcasm detection. And this list is in no way an exhaustive list. And some of the tasks here are considered as subtasks of the other. Like for example, in information extraction, it could probably entail part of speech tagging and sometimes named entity recognition. So yun. So these are some of the common NLP tasks, no? Yeah. Why is language hard for computers? Bakit nga ba? Yeah. These are some of the reasons why language is hard, no? Human languages are highly ambiguous at all levels, no? Ambiguous siya kasi may mga words doon na it could mean a lot of things, no? Parang mga multiple meanings. Are variable and complex with recursive structures and co-reference. Yun nga, yung kanina example ko na Mike told John that he failed the exam. Yung he, kanina siya nagre-refer. Mahirap kasi may mga ganun na, lalo na pag may mga pronoun kayo, tapos ang daming mga reference. So, alamin mo kung sino talaga yung tinutukoy doon. Fuzzy and vague, require reasoning about the world to understand, and sometimes kailangan din ng culture, part of the social system, like persuading, insulting, amusing. Kasi yung mga sarcasm and idiomatic expressions, those are things that yung hindi siya talaga literal, and it's really hard to parse, and it's really hard for the computer to understand those things. That's why it's hard. To give you a concrete example, yung word na pop, okay? Ang daming meaning niya. It could be the soft drinks. It could be pop a balloon. It could be pop like your dad, no? That soft drinks, it could mean soda. It could also be soft drinks, beverage, or Coke, no? So makikita niyo yung meaning and expressions, no? So parang kung isipin niyo kung paano niyo tuturuan yung computer to actually recognize this and make sense na ito is the same as this, no? So masyado siyang convoluted. Another example is this. Halimbawa to sa newspaper headlines that we have here. Boy paralyzed after tumor fights back to gain a black belt. Diba ito pagbabasahin natin, no? Parang mapapaisip tayo paano nga ba to i-analyze. At first hindi ko rin siya na-gets kagad, how much more yung computer, di ba? Kasi parang marami siyang ambiguous nga, di ba? Boy paralyzed after tumor fights back. Alin ba yung lumaban doon? Yung ano ba yung nag-fight back doon, yung tumor o yung boy, di ba? Boy paralyzed after tumor fights back to gain a black belt. Okay, actually dito tayo alam natin na yung nag-fight back dito ay yung boy, hindi yung tumor. Pero sa computer, dalawa kasi yung subject mo dito, no? Hindi mo alam kung sino yung subject ng verb na fight, yung boy ba o yung tumor. So yeah. And then what else? Ito, San Jose Catskill man with knife. Ito naman yung with knife. Sino yung ano yung ibig sabihin ng with knife? Yung cop ba ay pinatay niya yung tao na may hawak na kutsilyo o ginamit niya yung kutsilyo sa pagpatay ng tao? Okay? So very ambiguous yung language. There are several other example. The Pope's baby steps on gay. May anak pala, may baby pala ang Pope, tapos tinapakan yung gay. Hindi. Actually, ang dito, ang ibig sabihin niya, nag-baby step yung Pope on gay. So, ibig sabihin, nagdahan-daan sa nagdahan-dahan yung Pope sa mga gays, no? Parang baka hindi siya nagbigay ng sweeping announcement or sweeping pronouncement about the gays, no? Parang nag-baby step siya. Hindi ibig sabihin nito na yung Pope ay may anak na baby tapos tinapakan yung gays. For juvenile court to try shooting defendant. Okay? Yung juvenile court mag-shoot ng defendant. Hindi. Trial ito. Ibig sabihin yung shooting defendant, itong shooting dito, this is a present participle of defendant. Ibig sabihin parang ito modifier ng defendant, and yung ano dito is, since this is a headline, to try, it's in the future tense, no? Ibig sabihin may trial, no? Kakaroon ng trial for the shooting defendant. Teacher strikes idle kids. Ini-strike ng mga teacher ang idle kids. So, ang hirap intindihin ng mga headline. Pero ang ibig sabihin nito ay yung strikes dito is a noun, not a verb. No, teacher, kaya very important ang part of speech tagging. Yung strikes dito should be a noun. So, teacher strikes, yung mga rally o yung mga boycott ng teacher. Yung idle dito, ito yung verb. Ibig sabihin, because of the teacher strikes, walang ginagawa yung mga bata. Local high school dropouts cut in half. Yung dropouts, ibig sabihin nangalahati. But it can also mean other thing. So yun, based on this, makita natin na very ambiguous ang language. So kung human nga nahihirapan pa, how much more kung i-process natin to for the computer to understand it. And we all know na ang computer very hindi siya vague. Kailangan pag nag-input ka sa computer, unambiguous. I'm sure a lot of you here are programmers, and you know na pag nagkamali lang ng spelling sa code niyo, mag-syntax error na kagad, di ba? So ganun ang computer. Hindi pwede sa computer yung natural language na hindi niya maiintindihan yun, lalo na may tendency ang human sa mag-misspelling tayo. So that's why we need some task, or isipin nyo ano yung mga ways na kailangan nating gawin to actually process those texts, no? Since ang language nga, it's really hard for a computer for them to understand or to make sense of. Yeah, like for example, in machine translation, these are some of the challenges in machine translation. Like yung may tinatawag na word order typology. Okay? Yung word order typology, ibig sabihin kasi, for example, in machine translation, no? Sa bawat language kasi, yung order ng words, posibleng magbago. No? Like, kunyari, pagkakasabi mo, let's say, the word na I love you, sa ibang, I love you, pagka tinranslate mo ko siya literally, sa Tagalog, ako, pag-ibig, ikaw, hindi naman kasi ganun di ba? Parang ang translation niya is mahal kita. Pero nakita niyo, nag-iba na yung order, yung word na mahal, which is parang yun yung word na love doon sa napunta sa unahan, no? So that's just one example. There are a lot of examples wherein yung translation sa isang language at saka yung translation sa ibang language ay iba yung order. So that's why it's very hard to do machine translation. Another thing is yung lexical divergences. Ang ibig sabihin naman itong lexical divergences ay meron kasing mga words na parang iba yung hindi naman iba yung meaning, kaya lang like may mga, kunyari sa isang language, isang word lang siya, yung concept na yon, pero sa ibang language, parang you cannot express that, parang walang literal translation na isang word lang. Then you have to express that in several words. May mga ganon. Like for example, in French, meron silang word doon na isang word lang na ang ibig sabihin ay sampalin ng pie sa mukha. Pero ikaw, wala tayong word nun sa English or sa Tagalog kasi we have to express that into ilang sampalin ng pie sa mukha. Pero sa French, meron yun, isang word lang yon. So may mga ganong differences in terms of language. May mga, let's say, divergences, no? Like for example, isang word lang dito sa language, dito ang dami, hindi mo siya kayang i-express na isang word lang. You have to express it in several words. Morphological typology, yun din, parang ganun din siya, may mga certain words na na iba yung somehow yung meaning. Referential density, ibig sabihin nito, some of the languages kasi sobrang dami nung gamit nung mga pronouns na he, mga ganon. So iba't iba yung, kumbaga there are some peculiarities in certain languages that it's hard to really parang karon ng alignment between the words, no? So that's why it's very hard to do machine translation. Yeah, another thing, ito yung question answering, no? Isipin nyo, paano kaya nagwo-work yung question and answering? Paano kaya nalalaman ng computer yung sagot? Paano niya naiintindihan, no? So yung question answering basically is you're trying to build systems that can automatically answer question posed by humans in natural language. Ito I'm sure some of you have already used ChatGPT. So that's one form of question answering, no? And yeah, usually text-based or sometimes pwedeng sound audio, no? Like for example, yung Siri at saka yung Alexa. So yeah, yung question and answering. Later on, i-discuss ko naman yan kung paano siya nagwo-work. But basically, based din doon sa text na feed mo sa kanya, no? May mga algorithms kung bakit niya nasasagot. And sometimes may mga pipelines kang dadaanan. You have to do some parts of speech tagging, named entity recognition. May mga sub-steps kang dadaanan in order for you to come up with an algorithm for you to develop or build systems like question answering systems. So this is just overview of the task, no? And yeah, another important task in NLP is yung tinatawag natin information retrieval, no? Ito yung example, as you can see here, the pipeline of the information retrieval. So makikita niyo na maraming steps na involved, no? Maraming different technologies na involved din para to come up with information retrieval system. Pero yung information retrieval, yun nga, parang kanyari sa search, like for example, yung Google, yan, basically, yan, information retrieval siya kasi pag nagta-type ka ng search query, tapos marami siyang connected na mga websites, no? You think of a websites like documents na connected to each other. Tapos, so yan, may mga algorithms na sinusunod for information retrieval. Ito yung example ng semantic parsing, no? Meron kang question, tapos i-convert, kasi itong question na to, nasa left, as you see here, hindi naman ito maintindihan ng computer kasi natural language siya, hindi siya maintindihan. So you have to convert it into a form na unambiguous na siya, na it cannot be interpreted as any other way. So i-convert mo siya sa logical form. Usually ito, ang tawag dito is lambda calculus. Question so far?
I am tag, and here inside the SRC, I have to write down the name of that image. We have given this image, we are calling this image IMG1. Here you can see we have given this name IMG1. So I will just write down IMG1 here and save, and still it's not going to work. Save and
okay. Thank you.
This is a JavaScript part.
Sino yan? Ako ba yun? Okay, continue. Mukhang wala namang question. May nakaiwan lang ng naka-on yung mic. Okay, ito, chatbot systems. Ito mukhang, naman yun, alam niyo naman to, yung kanina ko pa binabanggit, yung Siri, Alexa, Cortana. So these are also an application or one of the tasks in NLP. Yeah, automatic speech recognition. And ayun, yung mga pinakita ko sa inyo mga applications na yan o yung mga tasks na yan, before you can get to that, you have to parang do some pre-processing steps muna. So mayroon kang dadaanan ng NLP pipelines, no? Like for example, you have, syempre, i-scrape mo muna yung, if you want to, you have to collect data sets, no? Ang tawag dun sa NLP, ang tawag namin dun ay corpus or corpora, parang just large body of text, no? And then, syempre, from there, may mga pre-processing steps ka na dadaanan, may cleaning na mangyayari, may tinatawag na tokenization, merong tinatawag na stop words removal, no? So dadaan yan sa sa pre-processing steps. Bakit nga ba kailangan yan? Kasi nga para matanggal natin yung mga errors, para may standardize for consistency at ma-handle natin yung linguistic variations. Like for example, kung mag-download ka sa what do you call that? Ano yung I forgot. Sino yung inventor ng printer? Anyone? Can you tell me the inventor of printer? Sorry, mahina na yung memory ko eh. Printing press? May isang famous na na repository ng mga libro sa internet and it's named after that printing press inventor. It starts with a G. Yun ang yan. Hindi ko nakikita yung chat niya, sorry. Yeah.
Gutenberg.
Yeah, Gutenberg. Okay, so Gutenberg. Yeah, that's the word that I was thinking. So Gutenberg. Yeah. So may Gutenberg.com or .org yata rin po ano yun. So, sometimes nung nag-download ako ng let's say yung Ibong Adar na meron pa kasi doon yung mga lumang mga accented o kaya yung mga Spanish characters, no? So may mga linguistic variations kasi yung Spanish kasi wala naman tayong cedilla, no? Yung mga accented characters sa iba, no? So we have to make sure na consistent siya. So may mga pre-processing steps tayong gagawin. And usually itong mga pre-processing nito, it involves text cleaning, tokenization. Ano nga pa yung tokenization? Basically, it's just parang segmenting your words, no? Depende kasi yan, may mga iba-ibang way pag tokenize. Like for example, cricket was invented, yung number 2, cricket was invented in England, cricket was invented in England, no? Or for example, yung word na let's say Cisco, the Microsoft, I'm not sure if this is factually correct now, pero just to give an example of a sentence, no? Microsoft's headquarters is in San Francisco. So paano mo siya tokenize? Sometimes ihiwalay mo ba yung word na San sa Francisco or dapat isa lang siya magkasama? So you have to consider those things in tokenizing, no? Kasi sometimes, like for example, yung mga words na gano'n, sometimes pinagsasama yung isang token lang yung San Francisco. Kasi wala namang meaning yung word na San apart from the word San Francisco pag pinaghiwalay mo sila. Unless talagang gusto mong or sometimes pwede mo rin i-tokenize letter by letter or sometimes yun. Depende sa gusto mong task na ma-achieve. And then after you have tokenized them, ang next step would be yung tinatawag na stop word removal. Kasi sometimes may mga words kasi na kunyari depende sa gagawin mong task. Like for example, kung classification lang, sometimes hindi na important yung word na yung was, yung in, yung da, yung we call them stop words, no? And then once you have already removed the stop words, di ba meron ka large na, tapos na-tokenize mo siya, na-remove mo yung stop words, the next step is yung either stemming or what we call lemmatization. Mamili ka lang dito sa dalawa. May advantage yan. Either 4 or 5 is either stemming or lemmatization. Sa stemming kasi, halimbawa, yung word na, may word na skipping, may word na skips, may word na skipped. Ang ginagawa is tinatanggal lang yung mga Kasi parang like for example, meron dun sa document mo meron word na skipping, tapos meron din na skips, tapos meron din skip. And they are all related, di ba? Pero paano mo masasabi doon sa system na related sila? So dapat nating i-standardize na isa na lang, okay? I'm going to remove ing, s, and ed, skip all of them. Pag tinanggal mo yung mga yun, lahat yun magpaparehas na skip, no? And that process is called stemming, no? Bakit natin ginagawa to? Para at least mapawasan, parang ma-reduce yung dami ng words na ano. Kasi kung kukunin natin lahat ng words dun sa corpus, it's really hard to process, no? Saka ang daming dimensions nun. It's really hard to encode that into a machine learning algorithm. We have a large set of vocabulary. So yan yung stemming. Kaya lang kasi minsan sa stemming, yung words mo, pag i-stem mo na siya, wala nang sense. May, ano ba ang word yung gano'n? Na pagka tinanggalan mo na ng affix is parang hindi na talaga siya morpheme, hindi na siya word, no? And that is why ginagawa ng iba, nile-lemmatize nila. Iba naman yung lemmatization. Basically, lemmatization is kino-convert niya yung lahat ng mga words into its lemma. Kasi halimbawa, yung word na am, are, is, ang base form niya is be. Or for example, yung word na went, goes, go, okay? Ang base form niya is go. Kaya lang kasi kung tingnan mo, kung sa stemming, yung go at saka went, parang ang wala kang ano kasi sa stemming, ang ginagawa ng stemming is usually tinatanggalan yung mga suffixes or yung affixes, no? Para ma-convert sa base form. Kaso paano naman yung mga irregular words na ano, like for example, irregular verbs like go tapos naging went. So wala siyang affix, parang ang laki ng difference. Pero sa lemmatization, automatic 'yon na may mga kumbaga may mga grammatical rules na alam niyang i-lemmatize, kaya niyang i-convert yung mga word na yon into its base form, which is yung tinatawag na lemma. So yun yung difference nung stemming at lemmatization. Yung stemming, mga simple rules lang, natatanggalin niya lang yung ed, yung ing, yung s, yung mga ganon. Pero sa lemmatization, i-convert niya talaga kung ano yung lemma ng isang word na yon. So yun yung difference niya. And usually, mas maganda gamitin yung lemmatization. Mas mahirap nga lang tong i-implement. And then once you have that, next part would be usually ginagamitan nga ng parts of speech tagging. Yun nga, ina-identify every word kung anong parts of speech siya. And then sometimes, importante din na ma-distinguish natin whether a particular entity is a place, a person, or an object. Ayun. And usually, ito yung mga tools na ginagamit, or regular expressions, no, for cleaning. This is another topic, no, that can be discussed somewhere else. You can just research how to use regular expression. Sa Linux yata, yung tinatawag na grep, grep, pwede nyo gamitin yon, yung grep command. Ito yung mga kaya nyo gawin sa regular expression. You can actually do regular expression sa MS Word, by the way. Magpapalit lang kayo yung mga wildcard characters. Those are regular expression. That's some of the things that you can do in pre-processing your text, regular expressions. And you can also do logical connectors or logical grouping and precedence using regular expressions. And then, word normalization. No? This is a crucial step. Halimbawa, kasi meron tayo, pag nag-ano tayo ng text, medyo madumi yan. Halimbawa, yung word na bahay, sometimes tamad sila magsulat, tinatype nila. Kunyari, mga jejemon na let's say yung word na bahay, i-spell nila yan at B-H-A-Y. B-H-A-Y, no? Pero parehas lang, meron kang makikita sa text na word na tama naman yung spelling. So we have to standardize, no? Na lahat yun. So kailangan natin i-normalize yan. So you imagine you have to do a lot of parang standardization using Python programming para lang may standardize yung text mo. So marami kang dadaan ng parang mga laundry list of things to do doon sa text mo para ma-standardize siya. Kunyari, convert mo lahat ng tanggalin mo lahat ng numbers. Yan. Usually yung mga ginawa ko when we were doing yung mga cleaning ng aming corpus or corpora. Yan, diyan magaling si Talin. Si Talin yung gumagawa sa amin nung mga yan, yung pinaka data engineer namin sa sa itanong. So, i-program sa Python para linisin yung text, and one of the things that we need to do is yung word normalization. Okay, so this ensures consistency, tapos ma-reduce din yung error, and it will also reduce the dimensionality of your data set, no? And it would improve model performance. So, kailangan talaga ng kailangan i-standardize, kailangan i-remove natin yung mga kasi halimbawa, yung isang word parehas lang naman pero isa nakakapitalize, no? So, yun. So, those are word normalization. Kailangan siyang standardized. What else? Tokenization. Yun nga, yung diniscuss ko na kanina na kailangan mo siyang, usually, ang tokenization, bawat isang word, isang token siya. No? Kaya lang kasi may mga words like, for example, yung San Francisco, dapat ba one word siya? Dapat ba two words siya? So, kailangan maging consistent ka. Yeah. Ayan, marami pang mga ibang tokenization technique. You can use a word as a token or a character or sometimes a subword. Yeah, hindi ko na i-discuss to. Ayan, this is, I think, stemming. Like, eto, kunyari, ito yung example ng stemming, yung hindi to lemmatization. Makikita niyo yung example dito ng stemming. Ang organization ng stem niya is organ. So, ibig sabihin, pag meron kang word na organization, organizes, organized, ang i-convert yun into organ. Pag meron kang doing, does, do, i-convert yun sa do. Pag meron kang word na halimbawa historical, historic, history, i-convert niya yun sa history. Parang ganon. Policy, i-convert niya sa police. So, ito yung stemming. European, i-convert niya sa Europe, analyzes, convert sa analysis. Ayan. So meron kang parang base form, no? Kasi halimbawa ito noisy, noisily, ipaparehas niyan sa isang base form lang like noise. Sparsity, magiging sparse siya. So that's stemming. Ito naman yung lemmatization. Example, ayan, is, am, are, magiging be. Reading, magiging read na lang. In stories, nagiging story na lang siya kasi kailangan man-lemmatize. Kasi yung, baka meron kasi ibang words na maano niya story para maging standardized na lang. Kasi almost same lang naman yung meaning nila. Kumbaga tinanggalan mo lang siya ng inflection. Ito, yung parts of speech tagging. Yeah, these are the different parts of speech. Tapos ito yung mga algorithm na ginagamit for parts of speech tagging, machine learning algorithm na ginagamit. And yeah, halimbawa ito, bakit ba kailangan yung part speech? Para ano natin yung meaning. Like yung hand me that book. In this case, yung hand me that book, it's a noun. Pero book me that flight, parehas na word yan eh. Pag nakita ng computer, parehas lang to, isipin ng computer, they mean the same thing. Pero magkaiba sila kasi yung isa, used as a noun, the other one is used as a verb. So you really have to do parts of speech tagging para ma-disambiguate natin yung bawat words. Ito naman, named entity recognition. Yeah, it basically yung mga proper noun, ano niya, is it a place? Tapos yung 5 p.m., is it time? So that's the purpose of named entity recognition. Yan, sample. These are the different named entity: people, organization, location, and geopolitical entity. So yan, at a lot of those ginawa namin. Back in 2017, I think that was our first try to actually do natural language processing in CSD. And we came up with this paper, Prediction Decisions of the Philippine Supreme Court Using Natural Language Processing and Machine Learning. Halos lahat kami dito, we're still starting out to. That was way back in 2017. This is the first paper that we published, no? Basically, in-apply namin yung sinabi ko kanina. Nagkaroon kami ng tokenization, nagkaroon kami ng stemming, lemmatization, and all those things. May ginamit naman kaming tool. Mayroong mga Python packages that you can actually download to use those tools, yung mga stemming, lemmatization. So basically, we collected a lot of scrape. The first thing that we do here is meron kasing may isang website that contains a lot of decisions, Supreme Court decisions, no? Yung Arellano Law at saka yung chanrobles.com. You visit that, meron doon. So, in-scrape namin yon. Si Ruth yung gumawa ng program to scrape. Ayan, si Ruth, nag-resign na siya, pero dati siyang CST regular. Siya yung gumawa ng scraper, tapos once na-scrape yon, we do the pre-processing steps that I have just discussed with you. Yung cleaning, yun. So, kailangan ng regular expressions, tapos word tokenization, so yung tinokenize namin yung ano, and then mayroong lemmatization, actually stemming ang ginawa namin. Naalala ko si Brian pa yung gumawa ng Porter Stemmer yung package na ginamit niya. And then after na-stem siya, gumamit kami ng Ngram language model, no? Okay, so i-discuss yung Ngram sa language modeling sa day 3. Gumamit kami ng Ngram language model, tapos yun, gumawa kami ng different machine learning algorithms. We use support vector machine, random forest, naive Bayes, and artificial neural network to actually classify whether a given a text, whether it will be whether the plea would be granted or anong kabaliktaran ng granted? Denied. Okay? So yeah, binary classification lang siya, and we were able to publish this paper. So ano pa lang kami, nag-start pa lang kami sa NLP. Yeah, talking about the tools, ito yung mga tools that you can use. You have, of course, you need, usually kasi Python yung ginagamit, but you can use Java. Meron din NLP sa Java. Kaya lang siyempre ngayon, Python na yung uso. I also suggest that you download Anaconda, install Jupyter Notebook, NLTK, eto, nandito yung mga Porter Stemmer, yung stemming, what else? May mga packages na dito na Python din to, pero andito yung packages ng ng mga NLP task na binanggit ko, like stemming, lemmatization, tokenization. Yan, dito nyo kukunin yon. You can, and there's a lot of tutorial about NLTK. Yun din yung ginamit namin for the paper. And then Spacey, there's a lot of tools here also na mas maganda nga itong Spacey kaysa NLTK eh. Kaya lang sa Spacey, wala siyang stemming kasi ang sinusupport lang ni Spacey, lemmatization. Okay? Ito, Stanford Core NLP, and dito yung mga core reference resolution, parts of speech tagging, yan. Hugging Face, ito, medyo sa deep learning na to. GenSim, okay din to for topic modeling and for word vectors, word embeddings. Yan, fast text, this is one of the, sa Facebook to, kung gusto mo mag word embeddings, you can use fast text. Allen NLP, this is also, there's a lot of tools also for NLP here. Flare and Open NLP. Open NLP is from Apache. Hindi ganong sikat to, pero usually itong Hugging Face, Stanford, yan, Spacey, yan yung mga usually na ginagamit sa NLP. And with that, I hope you learned something today. Thank you for listening.